Every best in slot trinket list has been lying to you. The blasphemy. What's up team, Killchain back with your beautifully curated second monitor content for today. We're going to be having a look at either making you very happy, very sad, or very item restoration-y. What's this all about? Great question. Trinket in question is the Ruby Whelp Shell. The absolute nothing burger of a flavor trinket that has far more to it than meets the eye. This bad boy will actually be a lot of characters' best in slot trinket. So let's take a look. The Ruby Whelp Shell drops from Ruby Life Pools. Ugh, yeah, gross. So if you're struggling to clear decent Mythic Plus levels on this particular dungeon, as many are, consider getting a low level shell and simply upgrading it with Valor over time. If you've already had this shell before and do remember, you can, obviously go back and snag it, grab it through the item restoration. And so simply go to the restoration page, filter down to your realm and character, and then start going through all the pages until you can find it. Unfortunately, there is no search function, so yeah, Sag. How do we train the dragon? And what can we train the dragon in? The link will be provided down in the description for the Wowhead article. However, the training of the whelp does have a few different options. We have the main ones we're going to cover, which is everything damage related, right? However, the total entirety of all the possible procs include single target healing, AoE healing, flat stuff buffs of crit or haste, then a single target damage proc and an AoE damage proc. So the collaborative effort of the community has helped figure out the exact ways of 100% guaranteeing which particular buff you're going to be training for a total of possible total number of 6 ranks. So it will take you about a week or so with a 24-hour cooldown for each lesson to max out one particular type of buff you're getting. And you can get more than just the one. People are, denoting that they have 4 in one, 2 in another, etc. You get the idea. A lovely, amazing Weaker will be down in the description as well to help you track that. I'll be using it when I finally get my hands on a Ruby Whelp Shell. And other people in our guild, for example, are already using it to great effect. It just helps make it handy to track where you're at and how much you've done each lesson for. Now, the data and research for the community does show that a fully trained whelp will still proc its other variation within that role for the spell. So in layman's terms, essentially the buff to a buff versus a damage to damage and heal to heal. You get the idea. So a single target trained whelp will, on very rare occasion, cast the AoE spell still. Haste proc whelp will still give you the crit buff on very rare occasion. Unlike vice versa, if you've maxed out on AoE healing, for example, very rare occasion it'll proc a single target heal instead. So it's not 1-to-1 perfect ratio, but it's like 90% the one you want, so that's all fine. In terms of the prowess, I mean, everyone's throwing around the whole meme of, oh, it's better than Manic Grief Torch, which it basically is in every sense of the word, except when you're maxing out the 424 version of Manic Grief Torch. The numbers that have been thrown around are versing a 411 Grief Torch versus a 421 Ruby Whelp Shell. So of course the 421 Ruby Whelp Shell beats a 411 Grief Torch, but in saying that, the likelihood that you're gonna get your hands on a 424 Grief Torch, I mean, these are for absolute cutting edge raiders that have already full cleared the raid or whatnot. They're sort of not the people that are going to be watching this type of video, right? So for everyone else, the 424 version of Grief Torch is like a bit of a pipe dream, let's be real. Whereas getting your hands on a Ruby Whelp Shell is much more realistic. And the point is, yeah, it is very competitive with that. And it's an all-in-one trinket. This particular trinket, while it might still technically lose out to Grief Torch when we're talking absolute best in slot, even on the stats buff front, it outstrips a lot of similar trinkets. So for example, we have Bone Maw's Big Toe. This gives you a very meaty 1,727 crit level, and that's at 421. So a absolutely maxed out Bone Maw's Big Toe. Apparently there's too many B's. Alliteration is my enemy. 1700 crit is pretty good, but a measly 372 version of the whelp at max for the crit buff gives a whopping 2200. So I can't even imagine what that will go up to at 421. I'd imagine it might even be quite comparable to how much of a secondary stat the puzzle box gives, which we know that's upwards of like 3,000 to 4,000. So it could quite literally go up that high. Who knows? I don't think anyone's reported a maxed out stat buff stick yet, so time will tell, because everyone's pretty much all rushing the shit out of the single target version because everyone keeps throwing it. It's better than Grief Torch, yay. Which, like I said, in all scenarios, yes, it is, except for literal best in slot Grief Torch. So do keep that in mind as a grain of salt. But also be real with yourself. How realistic are you going to get your hands on a 424 Grief Torch? Like, you're not Jesus. You're probably going to have a better time with the Ruby Whelp Shell. Last couple of little bits I wanted to touch base on is, one, you don't ever lose your training that is currently set. If you delete the trinket, then get it back. If you sell it and then get a new one or get an upgrade, upgrade it with Valor, whatever the case may be in regards to a Ruby Whelp Shell. The training as it's set, let's say I had 4 in single target and 2 in AoE, that is set no matter what happens to the trinket and I end up getting a new one. The moment I'm set with that, it's like a hidden talent tree. It's also important to note you can't have absolutely everything maxed at the same time. So you won't be able to, 6 months from now, have 6 out of 6 for literally every particular rank, then have this trinket just magically chop and change based on your role. As you start putting points in one, it will detract from other points. Think of it as a talent point system with 6 talents to pick from. If you're completely maxed out in single target, but you start putting it in the AoE damage, then your single target will drop to 5 and 1, then it'll go 4 and 2, 3 and 3, etc, etc. So you'll only ever have a max of 6 points to distribute at any given time. So if you land on the trinket, by all means, make sure you keep it stashed away. Do not neglect your little new Neopet. Train him up and he'll work wonders for you for sure. So hopefully this video helped. Till next time, rage on.